Thank you for coming to our Volunteers Ask Us Anything. My name is Kelly Flaherty. I am a chair on the Meetups Committee, and I am working with Shiori from our Nominations Committee to get together and have a chance for all of you who are interested in volunteering on different committees to get a chance to hear a little bit more about what we do and ask us some questions. So I'm going to go ahead and let Shiori tell us what we're up to tonight.
Uh, Thank you so much, Kelly. So nominations has changed a little bit of our initiative this year as far as recruiting and placing volunteers on committees. So we're operating on a biannual basis once again. We've done this previously, and we're trying to reinstate this to sort of maximize the strategies around recruitment and retention, as well as just administratively tracking the volunteer experience. So today we really want to hear from members of ARCS about what questions you might have in regards to volunteering, everything from the process of applying to what specific committees are doing, and anything in between. And so we have a number of representatives from committees. Some of us are chairs, some of us are general committee members, and some of us are board liaisons. So we'll do some brief introductions, but today's an opportunity for you all to really ask us questions about what it means to volunteer with ARCS, and how to best get involved. So I will hand over to our committee representatives joining us for this session today for a quick intro, and then we will hand it over to you all in general membership to ask your questions. I'll just pop it over to Courtney, and then Courtney, you can decide who goes next.
Okay. Hi, I'm Courtney B. Craft. I am board liaison for workshops and webinars and partnerships. We currently are looking for a chair and for members for the committees. So I'm kind of the representative right now since we don't have a chair. Workshops and webinars, it was previously the Education and Programming Committee, and we changed it, I think, about a year ago. So now it's workshops and webinars, and we handle presenting educational content geared towards continuing education and professional development. So that's both virtual and in-person programming. So right now we're working on a couple pre-conference workshops at the ARCS conference in November. We're also working on a two-day career workshop in the spring, and some other webinars that will happen in the next fiscal year. So we're really looking for some people that like to do some planning of programs. The virtual webinars, it's maybe like the easier program you can start out with if you're not sure if you really like doing programs. I had no experience with programs before I became the chair of programming, before I became a board liaison. So the webinars are kind of a way to get into it. It's not really super complicated, and there are people to help. And then the in-person workshops, it's a lot more logistics and planning. And we have multiple people that usually help out with those. So that's really everything from doing catering to working with presenters, a little bit of everything. So we're really looking for some folks that want to help plan some of the programs, and you don't have to have experience, but most collections people are good with planning, logistics, organizing. So I think it's a perfect fit. The other group I'm part of is partnerships. And partnerships used to be global connections, I think it was in partnerships, and now it's just one partnership. So advancing and fostering meaningful partnerships with organizations and groups to benefit ARC's strategic plan. That's our charge. So working with other organizations like ERC, the European Registrars Committee. We're working with AIC right now. We're also working on compiling a master spreadsheet, a list of other organizations, whether they're museum groups or conservation groups, like all across the country and in the world. So if you're interested in working with other organizations and partnerships, seems like your thing, we'd be happy to have you on the committee. And I will pass that to, who's up? Alicia, sorry.
No worries. Hello, everyone. My name is Alicia Thomas. Boy, that's going to be a tough act to follow, Courtney, because I don't have much to say. I can tell you that I've served on many committees, educational resources, finance committee, nominations committee is what I serve on now, as well as the board liaison for membership engagement committee. And while we do not have a active call this time, we will the next time around. And I'm happy to answer any questions about the general survey, which is our main charge. I'll pass it to Samantha.
Thanks, Alicia. Hi, I'm Samantha Hunt-Duran. I am the board liaison for the Educational Resources Subcommittee. So it's in our structure, it's under the workshops and webinars committee that Courtney was mentioning earlier, because we do kind of have a lot of overlap with the events that take place. And I'm also a liaison for the advocacy committee. I'm fairly new to that committee, but essentially I'll start with resources. Educational Resources has a call out for a chair. And the next go round, we're going to have a call out potentially for new members as well. And that committee really highlights new areas of knowledge, evolving policies, especially those that impact IDEA in culture work. So it's really important. It's a lot of back end work. So if people don't want to be out in front, in the front of a crowd, public speaking, it's working as part of the team on kind of the back end of especially our resource kit. So when we have new resource submissions or when new resources are created internally or externally, we're on the lookout for those, and on the back end we kind of add those to the website for our membership. Advocacy committee that I'm a bit new to supports ARCS and the field at large through policies and through creating resources as well. So it's kind of a good way to impact some resources. And I believe the call that we have right now for advocacy is just for committee members. But let me know if you have any questions about work for resources or for advocacy. And I will pass it to Sebastian.
Thank you so much, Sam. Hi, everybody. My name is Sebastian Encina. I am a board member of ARCS, and on top of that, I get to be the treasurer of ARCS as well, thanks to all of you who voted me in. And I'm here as the board liaison for fundraising. We do have a call out, and fundraising is exactly as it sounds. We are fundraising for ARCS. This is our opportunity to help fund a lot of the things that we are bringing to the membership, such as webinars and workshops, and of course the conference as well. What fundraising is looking for are eager, energetic members who want to make use of connections in the field to create partnerships and sponsorships with people who want to present to ARCS, who want to be in the expo hall. I think that's one of the best parts of going to a conference is speaking to our colleagues and looking to see what kind of goods and what kind of materials they have for our use in the museum world. What we require is usually just attention to detail, as all of us are really good at in this field, and just communicating with potential sponsors and partners and vendors through emails, occasional phone calls, and just inviting them to be part of the ARCS family, inviting them to come to the conferences, to go to meetups, to attend workshops and sponsor workshops, and to do a lot of heavy lifting for ARCS. I don't want to scare people away, but it is really important aspect of the work that we're doing. And this is how we get to bring all of these resources over to everybody, to our members and to anybody who wants to participate. So that's what ARCS fundraising is looking for, and very happy to answer any questions that people might have. I don't know who else hasn't spoken. Anne, do you need to speak? I can pass it over to Anne.
Thank you. Yes, I do need to speak. So I'm also a board member, and I am liaison for two committees. One is meetups, which I'll ask Kelly to talk about, if that's all right, Kelly. But I'll go ahead and talk a little about the IDEA committee, which is brand new for ARCS. And we are actually looking for a chair and anybody else who would like to participate on the committee. We are building that up and coming up with a plan of action and training for the board, and then moving outward as to how we're going to really enact IDEA across all of ARCS, step by step, little by little, bite-sized pieces, but thoughtfully and intentionally. And we would love everybody's help who was willing to participate. So if you are interested, please let me know. And I will pass it on to Kelly to talk about meetups.
Hi, I'm Kelly Flaherty. Like I mentioned earlier, I am a new chair to the Meetups subcommittee, but I have been on the committee for about 2 years now. We work to develop and organize informal, in-person and virtual gatherings, really to encourage networking through ARCS. It's just a chance to share, just talk about different topics, about our challenges, ask questions, get help from each other, and just share our successes and stuff like that together, just to really build networking events. We're looking for a couple new members. We of course would love help from anyone, but if we have anyone on the West Coast or in the Midwest or anything like that, that would be wonderful because we don't have a lot of representation over there for in-person events. So that would be great if you are from that side of the country or from any country, really. And yeah, we're also we also oversee the newly organized affinity groups. So you've probably heard a little bit about those through all the ARCS updates. So if you're interested in starting an affinity group, you would work with the Meetups committee and we would help you get started with that. So we're looking for a few good members. I will pass it on to Pippa.
Hi everyone, thanks Kelly. My name is Pippa and I am the co-chair of the Membership Development Subcommittee at ARCS. I've been a co-chair and on the committee since 2023. And we're looking for any new volunteers to join the subcommittee. And we look at different ways ARCS can engage with members and develop the current membership. And we run activities to reach out to different groups and committees to and communities to promote ARCS, advise what ARCS is, and encourage new members and make new connections. We meet monthly on various activities we're developing or in progress, and we'd love to engage with new people and new ideas on how ARCS can develop for new and existing members. No prior experience necessary, as other ARCS committee members have said, and like Samantha, it's a bit back end. There's no scary presentations or anything. We're a really friendly bunch of people, and yeah, we'd love to have some new volunteers join with various skills. So so please reach out if you've got any questions. I'm going to pass over to Kimberly in awards.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Pippa, for passing it over to me. I am Kim Robinson, and I'm currently serving as the chair of the awards subcommittee for ARCS. Awards is under membership engagement. So we're very proud to work with that larger membership engagement team in our work. Primarily, the awards team administers 2 major programs for ARCS. You may be familiar with our internship stipend program. We offer stipends of now $1,800 in the fall, spring, and summer for interns or recent graduates who are pursuing volunteer or low-paying internship experiences in collections management, registration, et cetera. This is a longstanding program, and we are proud to continue the work to provide support for those seeking to develop their careers. In addition to the internship program, we also help support the annual conferences. So you may have also seen the travel stipend. So we also administer that program. Typically, our work is cyclical, so it involves both announcing and coordinating and sharing the news, communicating the news of the awards program, followed by a robust review period of all the applications received. One new thing that we are hoping to develop this fiscal year is to really get into developing a professional award program for ARC, so stay tuned for that. But we have a pretty robust committee, but we are definitely interested in bringing on more team members as we expand our mission. And very excited to be here today. Thank you. And have we covered everyone, or should anyone else who's left to speak, please feel free to jump in.
I think we just need to pass to Sarah. Sarah, if you're ready to do a brief intro.
Sure. Sorry, everyone. My train was a little bit late today. I am the chair of the advocacy committee, and I've been the chair since 2021, I believe. We are the committee that develops resources for our members. We recently released a resource on how to deal with the changing landscape in museums currently. We meet monthly. We are looking for a few people who are willing to really dive right in, who feel strongly about museums, feel strongly about issues facing museums, and would like to help us make museums a better place to work.
Thank you, Sarah. I just want to highlight conference committee also has a couple of calls out right now for a chair and committee members. That's going to be for the virtual conference for 2026. That is not for this year's conference. I just want to be very clear about that with the call out right now and the conference coming our way, that the call for conference committee members will be for the virtual 2026 call, and a repeat call will go out in the spring for that position as well. I quickly just want to mention that nominations, as a committee, our responsibility is to facilitate the placement of volunteers throughout the organization. So everything from board members to you all who participate on these committees. So we put out the call every start of the year in January for board nominations and facilitate new board members onto the board through general election. And then throughout the year, we work with committees to identify their needs and numbers for general membership participation. Like I mentioned before, what we're really hoping to do is get a little bit more from membership about what it is you want in your volunteer experience. So I'll go ahead and open up the floor for those of you in attendance who might have some questions either specific to a committee that's here and represented or a general question about the volunteer experience. No question is too small or too big, and we're here to try and do our best to answer anything you all have for us. So please feel free to either unmute yourself or put a question in the general chat, and we will do our best to try and answer. Okay, if there's no questions so far, I'm going to go ahead and start by sharing what the current process for nominations. Sorry, we just got one in the chat. Okay, Anthony, we will get to your question. I just want to acknowledge really quickly that our application this year looks a little bit different than normal. So if you're submitting an application for participating in an ARCS committee right now, we have an open call. All of the committees looking for members have listed their call on our website. You can go to the ARCS Info Opportunities Get Involved committee membership page, and those detail the very specific positions for each committee. When you fill out your application, you actually have the option to select other committees of interest that may not be included on the call for that fall or spring period. This is to help us gauge where areas of interest are for general membership. So we encourage you to, even if you don't see the committee listed, looking for current volunteers, let us know what you're interested in. That form has been designed really to help us gauge where it is people in ARCS want to put their time and invest their time and participate in the organization. Hopefully some of you in this chat have taken some time to read Anthony's comment. So if there's somebody here who has some general advice and comments in response to his question, I will go ahead and hand it over.
I can jump in. So, Anthony, I think it might depend on where you are located. And unfortunately, some of the ways into museums are not the easiest. Some of them are through internships and volunteering so that people get to know you. So um, I would seek out any museums that are in your area for particularly if you're looking for history or art or science or natural history or anthropology, see who's around. And if none of those are around, just any museum that might be in the area who has a collections manager. And one of the ways that I know has helped me and has helped my students is just interview people. I think of all the people who are in this room, all of us have probably entered the field in a different way. I came from an anthropology background, and that got me a foot into the museum world. Some people have come in from an art history background or a science background or very different ones. But I think what's typical for a lot of us is I think it's really good to just get your foot in the door by doing some volunteering or interning because that's a good way to just see if you like it and if that's something that you want to pursue. I've had quite a number of students who have volunteered or interned for me, and at the end of the internship, they realize they don't want to do that, and that's totally fine. That's part of the experience is finding out what you do and don't want to do. Um, but it doesn't hurt to contact local institutions or an institution that you're interested in and just seeing what kind of help they need. Sometimes we're not allowed to advertise, and we might have some pockets of money to hire a part-time person, and sometimes those part-time positions turn into a full-time thing as well. Um, some institutions, maybe some small historical societies, may not have a collections manager. It may be they don't have a ton of money but they're always looking for some kind of help as well. Um, and you never know. Maybe you want to be the registrar at the Getty or at the Met or something like that, but you don't know that that small historical society down the street is actually ideal for you because often we don't think of those smaller museums, smaller institutions. So I would just cast a net and just reach out to people in person that you can talk to who can talk to you about what their needs are and what it would take for you to be in that space. Despite our field being a whole bunch of introverts, we love talking about museums. We love talking about our work. So if you come and ask us, like, how did you get into the field? How could I follow in your footsteps? I think a lot of us would really love to talk about that. So that would be my advice is just talk to people in your region who do that. And if you don't know how every museum has a info at museum kind of email, general inquiries, and whoever's checking that email will connect you with a collections person. Um, Definitely in the body of the email say you want to talk to a registrar, collections manager, archivist, whatever it is, so they know who to direct it to. I will say a lot of people in the museum field who are not collections managers sometimes struggle with what we do and may not always know who to send those questions to. So that would be my advice, but I'd love to hear from other people as well.
I'm going to put Courtney on the spot in just a moment, but I just want to say, part of nominations role is to kind of do the facilitation of this. And Anthony, your comment about a colleague telling you to get involved with ARCS, you looking for a little bit more hands-on opportunities and experience, I immediately think workshops and webinars. And I immediately think about how a large part of what we're doing is facilitating sharing of knowledge, and whether that workshop or webinar is in person or virtual, like you're working directly with people in the field, and it's not only networking but it's skill building. So I don't want to take Courtney's thunder about what they're all doing, but I would just immediately highlight that I think, Courtney, if you have anything in addition to that, sharing information with Anthony.
No, I agree. And I have to say, Anthony, I joined ARCS as a committee chair in 2020, right after the restructuring. And I have met so many people doing this. Like my network has expanded. It's a great group of people. They all understand we all understand each other and what we do. I'm at work and people that don't know what we're doing, it's great to get into ARCS and have that conversation. But just volunteering with any committee, it will expand your network and you'll meet so many great people. So I just recommend that in general. Workshops and webinars is wonderful because you do get to do a lot of that planning, organizing, you get to meet people. And we don't have as many people on the West Coast. I think someone else mentioned that. So I really recommend volunteering for ARCS just in general, no matter what committee you end up with.
I totally second that. I second what Kim put in the chat as well. I think that's a great point, is going to meetups, going to workshops, webinars, going to the conference, and meeting people, because I don't think we plugged our conference enough right now in this. But I also want to mention, so part of the subcommittee that I'm a liaison for educational resources, we have on the ARCS website a resource kit. And in the resource kit, we have some tags. And right now I'm looking at tags that are a day in the life, museum careers, there's professional development tag, to just get, a little bit of maybe resources together for you so you don't have to do all the legwork looking at those. And right now we have a call out for a chair. If you don't want to be, a chair because you're not quite, maybe you're adjacent to the industry, we'll have a call out in the next round for volunteers, and that could be a good way to like get a sense, like a finger on the pulse of like the newest resources that are becoming available just for the field at large. But yeah, I think any committee getting involved with any event or program or committee would be really, really helpful to seeing, if you want to be a part of this wild yet introverted group that we are.
Yeah, I just wanted to I guess third that. I am not a registrar. I am a collections information specialist, so I'm kind of registrar adjacent. And I joined ARCS because I was hoping to maybe get into more registrar work, but also I have found that just by being involved and getting a chance to network with so many people, I've learned a lot. That's helped me even in my role. That's not really as a registrar, but it's again registrar adjacent. So yeah, I definitely think volunteering is a great way to get involved. And like everyone else has been saying, just try to come to meetups, come to the conference if you can. When we have workshops and webinars, definitely join them. You can definitely learn a lot and network with a lot of really great people.
I'm going to add yet another voice for that networking aspect as well, because it is a relatively small field. While I don't know everybody in the museum registry world in the United States, we know quite a number of them, and people that we recognize at conferences, people we recognize from webinars and workshops and all of that. And it's quite a close-knit group. I will say just getting people to know who you are is a really good way. And the way I got one of my jobs is the person I was going to be working with was at a conference and happened to be speaking to another colleague of mine who was not a reference, but she spoke incredibly highly, saying, "You have to hire this person." And so just that knowledge that randomly someone who knew of me would go to bat for me, I think was really fantastic. And uh, just getting your name out there, just sharing that you're willing. And I think Sam said something about joining this crazy world. It is a crazy world. There's a lot of meticulous and sometimes boring stuff, and not everyone's cut for it. And if you are, well, then you're one of us, and we want you to be around. So that networking aspect, I think, is incredibly important and definitely worth looking into.
Awesome. I just want to highlight Emily's question in the chat right now. What are some typical expectations for a committee chair versus a regular committee member? Should a chair have been on the committee before or have additional experience? If there is a chair here who wants to answer that, to take the first stab at answering that question for us.
I
Kim?
can. Hi, thank you. I was just going to say I can speak specifically to the second half of that question. I actually joined ARCS Cold straight as a committee chair. They were at from the previous one of the previous cycles of recruiting new members. I reached out because I had experience. I work with the National Park Service, and I had experience working on awards committees at the park level. And I moved into a new role recently, and I had a desire to continue to be involved in an awards program and to help, really support my peers in that way in terms of both recognition and hopefully in terms financially. So I reached out to ARCS and said, I have a background in collections, but I have never been involved with ARCS really, but I saw that you have this opportunity open. I interviewed informally for the position and I was selected chair. So so all of that to say that you don't necessarily have to be active on a committee right now to be involved as a chair, but it does help. It was kind of like I jumped in with both feet, a little bit cold, but it was a really exciting and really great learning experience. And to what others have said, the chance to grow my network, the chance to learn about the great work that ARCS does in more detail, even as someone who wasn't involved as a committee member, has proven invaluable to me and helped with my career as well. So.
I'll follow on from Kim. Hi, Emily. I'm Pippa and I am a co-chair, and I, like Kim, just came in cold to a committee. I signed up as a volunteer for one of the subcommittees and was asked to be a co-chair. And as a co-chair, so we have monthly meetings and I work with the chair on actioning some of the outcomes of the meetings. And the co-chair Eldon and I, we just schedule the meetings, and we also attend quarterly chair committee meetings that ARCS holds, where the chairs come together to talk about the mission and various aspects. At the moment it's a lot about the conference. So there's a commitment of depending on when the subcommittee or committee meets, but also you quarterly meetings with the chairs. But I have never been a chair of a committee before this, and because ARCS is such a great community to be a part of, experience is not required. So it's, if you're a good organizer, which you probably are as a registrar, you've got skills already. So yeah, so I'm really enjoying it, and it's a great experience, and I've got a great subcommittee and committee that I work with. So I would encourage becoming a chair if that's your interest.
And I'll just chime in and say, being on any of the committees is so good for a resume, but especially being a chair. And that's what we've been really trying to do, at least at the board level, is empower our committee members and chair level, chair members to really, so that when it's on a resume, people are like, wow, they've done work for this field, they're committed. And as like kind of a little extra bonus for that. And I'm acting, since we don't have a chair for educational resources right now, I'm acting as the chair. And I'll just mention and add on to what Pippa said. We, as chairs or acting chairs, do create the agenda for the meetings. And we'll usually take minutes, unless you can delegate taking minutes to someone else on the committee if you really don't want to be running the meeting, and taking minutes. And then monthly there is submitting subcommittee or committee kind of reports, which is really brief, just, what is the committee working on, so that we all as board members and also other committee members can just see, like, oh, is nominations doing that thing yet? Or is membership engagement editing their survey yet? I want to see the results, so you can kind of keep tabs, or so that other committees can keep tabs on what your committee is doing. But I think other than that, other than running the meetings and attending the quarterly chairs and attending the meetings, I think those were the only extra things I could think of.
I just want to chime in real quick, and as someone who participated in the committee first and then put myself forward for serving as chair and then was appointed chair by the committee that I'm now working with, there's definitely, I think, there's no previous experience required, but I would say that there is a need for being able to identify your leadership style or needing to be able to step into a leadership role. And that looks different for each committee and that looks different for each chair. And so with that too comes a really great opportunity. And I want to highlight what Samantha had said about it being a great part of building a resume or just skill building and leadership building, is that there's also this really great opportunity for mentorship work with your board liaison. And that's something that for myself and for Janet, who's the vice president and the board liaison for the nominations committee, that's been a really key piece of our leadership style in the committee. And so I think what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of flexibility to try and chair your committee in a way that's reflective of how you want to lead. So I want to reemphasize that there's that leadership component that I think is just a little bit different than doing the committee general committee position. So that leadership component, in addition to some of these extra pieces of agenda building, report writing, and sitting on the chair nomination, quarterly chair meetings. There we go.
And I just want to kind of add, one of the committees that does have a lot more of a workload is workshops and webinars, because right now we've got, 8 things kind of in the planning process. So part of what I do is make sure they're all going along. So the goal is for each committee member to do like at least one program a year. So we have everybody that's kind of on point. So making sure that everything is moving along, they have what they need. And then going to the board liaison, which is myself right now, if there are questions, if there are problems with anything. But it's really keeping everyone going. And I had management experience. I managed a team of 4. So that was kind of helpful. But if you don't have a lot of experience starting as a committee member, and then maybe you want to take on more of a management role, it does give you some of that experience. But it is a lot with workshops and webinars, keeping the different programs going, and meeting with the quarterly chairs meeting. Sorry. I'm both chair and a board liaison, but your board liaison is supposed to be there to support you also. And having a strong board liaison is really helpful. So if anyone's interested in workshop and webinars, I know a lot about it, and I'm happy to, get you right in there. And we have a lot of stuff already planned and really great committee members taking on those programs. So I think that's important to have good committee members to also, kind of makes it a little bit easier. But it depends, because partnerships is a little bit less crazy with planning. But it just, it depends on your personality and what you feel comfortable with. But it can be different, because I know, Shuri, you have a lot, like nominations, you're always doing something and pretty busy, correct?
Yes. Yeah, thanks for that question, Emily. I think that's a really good one. I'm going to throw a question to our board liaisons and committee chairs here that's come up in a couple of our nominations meetings and some feedback from general membership. There's questions about the volunteer time, and not just the time commitment, but some concerns about not being able to serve during working hours, either because you work at a state or federal institution, and you need to be able to do your volunteer time separate from your work time. What kind of flexibility or options are there for a potential volunteer who can't work during the normal 9 to 5 Monday through Friday? Can committees be flexible? Is there a type of spot volunteering available? And if so, how might committees integrate that into the volunteer experience?
I'd like to talk about that. So our meetups committee, we do have a couple of government workers who are on our committee. So we do meet in the evenings after work. We meet once a month, and most of our meetups are in the evening or from time to time on a weekend. For as far as spot or just kind of joining in, we always could use that, especially when we're doing in-person meetups, especially if something's happening in a city where we don't have a committee member available. We love to get members of ARCS members to maybe help run a meetup for us in their city, and we will help them work through that and talk them through what needs to happen, so that we can support them from from afar. So even if you can't join a committee, you feel like you don't have the time right now, but you're interested in maybe doing something with meetups in your city, please reach out to us. We'd be happy to help you through that. And I'm sure other people in your city would love to do a meetup as well. So.
I think for programming, if you can't meet during the day, we meet once a month during the day, but we do have folks that meet after hours to talk about specific programs they're working on. Or we just did a webinar recently that was in the evening because it had to do with resume building, working on your resume. And we did get some feedback from people that can't attend webinars during the day. So doing some of that in the evening. So if someone can't come to all the monthly meetings during the day, if you really want to work on a program with us and kind of take that on, that's something you could do in after hours or on the weekends also. So we could definitely work with you to fit your schedule.
I was just going to chime in to say, I know for awards, our solution has been not to have although we're debating this right now, so this could change, but we've not had a set day for meetings. We definitely meet monthly, but we try to do a poll to see what date and time works best for the team. And that mostly works. There's some challenges with not having a consistent day set for the month, but we found that it allows more flexibility for our members, not only our friends on the West Coast, but also for those who have difficulty meeting during working hours. So that kind of allows us to do that a bit more. But there are challenges with that as well in terms of not having a set schedule. So.
Thanks all for sharing some of your insights and problem solving and responses to that. I'll just make the reminder that nominations doesn't want time constraints to keep you from a volunteer experience if that's what you want. So if you have concerns about any type of restriction or constraint on your position or opportunities for volunteering, there's an opportunity for you to list that in the application form. So let us know, because our goal is to make sure that you get what you want out of the volunteer experience with ARCS. Sebastian, did you have something else to add?
I do. So aside from the working day schedules and being accommodating, we are also very accommodating in sometimes we're all installing an exhibition and we can't meet this particular month. So you're going to miss out on a month because you're doing a courier trip or you're doing something else. And that's totally fine. We all miss it. We all miss the occasional meeting. As long as you can still keep up with some of the emails, which honestly is not too much, and just let us know that you're still part of the team, even though you're not at this particular meeting. We're all flexible because we are all in that same position. So I just want to bring that one up.
Thank you. All right, I will leave some space for any additional questions that might be popping up, or if there are any chairs, board liaison members, committee members who have anything else you want to highlight about your specific committee or the volunteer experience you're hoping to facilitate through your committee. I'm happy to leave some time for that before we sign off tonight.
I think we should add some information about a different volunteer experience with ARCS, especially for those of you who have been chairs and are attending this meeting. There will be a call for new board members going out in January, and we anticipate having 3 slots open. So I cannot say enough good things about being a board. It's been incredibly rewarding, and I've been able to accomplish a lot of things that I didn't expect to. I can get into more detail, but I'll bore you guys to tears. Anyway, please consider it. We'd love to have you on the board too.
I second that. It's a really fun group, and we got to plan the future of ARCS and think about the conference and the workshops and the work of ARCS and not necessarily just the work of ARCS, but the field in general and what kind of help we can provide in that. And it's just a really fun group. So definitely really wonderful to work with people. So yeah, please consider that. You are all wonderful. You're all already working with ARCS, so it'd be wonderful to work with you even a little bit more.
Last thought is just it's fun. So it is fun to volunteer. It's fun to get to know new people, especially on my committee. You know, I get to network with people anytime we have an event. So I really enjoy just volunteering, and that's why I'm staying on for another term, and why I decided to take on the chair role when it came up. So I would just recommend, if you are even a little bit interested, to definitely try it out. I think you'll have a good time.
Yeah, and if anybody's coming to the conference, please ask questions. Like a lot of board members have their badges, committee members, chairs. So, and I don't know if we're having a table. I know before we had to kind of like ask questions if you want to volunteer. I don't know about that, but it's a great place to ask people about their experience. And I did a lot of that the last conference when I was just a committee chair. So I think that's great. That FaceTime with everyone.
Yeah, I will highlight that Nominations will be hosting 2 separate sessions related to volunteering at the conference. So the first will be a roundtable, and I believe that's scheduled for the morning of the Thursday. So it's an opportunity to just come meet members of the nominations committee and ask very specific questions about the process of volunteering. And then a separate boardroom session will be held on the same day, but I'm not going to commit to specifics because it'll be in the program. But that info session will be a little bit more detailed and more opportunity to talk to chairs and other committee members, a little bit like this space, but with a bigger audience and bigger room. So we will be present at conference. We are always here to answer your questions. Nominations is always here to answer your questions. So if you please feel free to send us an email. And reminder, applications for this fall volunteer call are open until October 7th. So if you are looking to submit your applications, please do so before then. We check those application forms weekly, and someone from the committee of your interest will reach out to you about your application. So if there's anything else, always reach out. And we hope that this was a helpful info session for you all today.
I just want to thank everyone for coming, especially to all the chairs and committee members for sharing your insights and information. This was recorded, so it will be available on YouTube soon. So if you know of anyone who wanted to come and couldn't, or decides that they might be interested in volunteering, just send them the link to this recording once it's up, and they can find out more information. So thank you all for coming. I hope you have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.